Yes.
AM 1300 KGLO.
8:32 on this Friday morning here on your hometown news station, AM 1300 KGLO. Streaming live at KGLOAM.com. And with our first legislative update of the session, we are streaming live as well on our KGLO News Facebook page and YouTube sites as well. And Jane Bloomingdale, the state representative, and I'm not going to mess this up. The western side of Sarasota County, all of Worth and Mitchell counties, and the northwestern quarter of Floyd County, including North Springs and Rockford. Did I get that right?
Exactly right.
Well, good. And go ahead and scoot in a little bit closer to that microphone. We want everybody to hear you. Here as we talk about the first week of the legislative session. And of course, first of all, thanks for joining us. And we thought, give an opportunity for people to learn more about what's going on down at the State House. And, first things first, it's first week. So a lot of speeches, condition of the state address by Governor Reynolds, and the condition of the judiciary speech by Susan Christensen, the Chief Justice of the Iowa Supreme Court, and the condition of the guard speech yesterday. And it's just a lot of ceremony in the first week, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And again, thank you for having me on today. I appreciate it.
Talk about, the condition of the state message. We heard a lot from Governor Reynolds. What in that speech captured you the most and, had you interested in the most in her speech?
I think when she talks about it, she talked a little about our the tax cuts that we've made over the last couple of years, and people are concerned. They feel like we're bringing us down a little, and we really are not concerned at this point. Our condition, our state is good. She talked a little about property tax. That's been a big issue. That's been a concern and a discussion for the last 4 or 5 years. She threw out her proposal. We actually sat down with her. She met with everyone on Ways and Means and discussed her property tax proposal. That was good. I think, the condition of Iowa is good. Our economy is good. And with our tax rates and the business environment, we're looking at, attracting businesses. So I think right now we're in a good spot.
Well, the property tax issue, I think, is probably the biggest issue of the session that I'm not sure how well that will get resolved. There's obviously different plans that are out there. And I think, though, that everybody's in agreement that something needs to happen this session finally.
Yeah, I agree. I know that the governor has put out her bill. The Senate put out their bill very early. I've gotten through about half of it. It's a 100-page bill. It takes a little bit longer. And the House will put out their bill this next week. And according to our House Ways and Means Chair, Representative Nordman, nothing's off the table. We're looking and trying to listen. I know the governor had several roundtables around the state. She threw out some really good proposals and a few things I want to look into a little bit more. But it will be, I think it'll be a topic of conversation. Hopefully we can get some relief on property tax for individuals.
Has it been a topic that a lot of people have discussed with you?
I hear it in some communities more than others, which I think is perfectly normal. It is a conversation, but people also realize that there are services we want, and our property taxes pay for some of those services. The conversation is this something that should be on property taxes, or is this a use tax? Where do we get the tax for certain services? And our elected officials, they do a good job, but we need to help them work together and figure out how we can keep some of those costs down.
The governor's proposal that she laid out in the condition of the state message had a 2% cap for city and county property tax growth every year. Of course, you were a former mayor in Northwood, and is that too much of an ask of our cities and counties?
We'll have to look at that more closely. It won't include new growth. So, that is excluded. I think it's something to look at. We always tried to keep ours down around that 1%, 2%, 3%. So I think 2 is a good goal.
And one of the other things, obviously, that's hit the news this week is the eminent domain issue with the Summit Carbon Solutions carbon pipeline, and it got through committee already this week. It sounds like it could possibly even be debated as early as next week. Obviously, I think I know that's another topic that a lot of people have been addressing to our local legislators. Talk about that issue.
That is a big issue, and private property rights need to be addressed. I feel strongly about the eminent domain issue. We need to protect private property rights without stifling economic growth. That's a fine line. We have a bill in the House that I believe we'll be looking at next week. It has moved out of committee. I also know there's a bill in the Senate that I believe Senator Clemish is going to drop on Tuesday. So we will have two bills. If we can move both bills and find an agreement, and then it's really up to us to find a solution that the House will pass, the Senate will pass, and the governor will sign. And if we can't do that, we'll end up with nothing again. And everyone deserves an answer to this. And I think it's time that we work together and find a solution.
Because originally, we thought last year that it was going to be finally solved, and then the governor turns around and vetoes the bill that got passed out of the legislature last year. And so this is obviously a complicated issue, and both bills are kind of different in some ways. The Senate bill, I think, allows Summit to maybe reroute their pipeline if they can find the right ways to go. But it'll be interesting to see how this does get hashed out.
It will be. And I think the real focus is the use of eminent domain. And that's what we need to focus on. Do we restrict? How do we look at that issue? And I think that if we can focus on that issue, we can hopefully address it.
Well, you chair the state government committee in the Iowa House, and maybe just talk about, what that means and what the state government committee actually addresses, if you can.
Yeah. It's interesting. I really enjoy this committee. The state government committee addresses anything that has to do or happens in the state. So just about any bill can come to state government. Mostly, so far this year, I probably have 40 or 50 bills already. A lot of them are department bills. Each department usually submits a bill that they either need a fix on something we've done that they found doesn't work, or something they want to change. So I do have several department bills. We have a lot of individual bills. We deal with primarily the departments, and then elections. We deal with a lot of, alcohol bills. We deal with gambling bills. We deal with a lot of licensure bills. So we have a little bit of everything, which for me, I personally enjoy that. I want to do a little bit of everything. And so we're looking into that.
And maybe talk a little bit more about what other committees or subcommittees you serve on.
Okay. I also serve on local government, which, again, anything that deals with local government. So it can be a wide variety of bills that come through there. I serve on Ways and Means. I've been on that for a number of years, and I'm working with Representative Nordman with the property tax bill. As you said earlier, I've been a mayor and I've been on city council and have worked with property tax a little bit. So I look forward to seeing what we're looking at doing for property tax. He has said repeatedly, listening to everyone, leaving everything on the table to take a look at. So we'll see what happens there.
And maybe a couple of other things. I know, one of the things that's been talked about, maybe a tough on crime bill. And obviously I think that's still being formulated, but it seems like that is a topic that maybe not everybody talks about all the time, but definitely sounds like something that legislators want to address this year.
I think it is. It's something we're seeing more and more, and we're hearing about, an incident somewhere, and I don't want to downplay it, but
right.
I'll call it an incident. And you find out that person has, 19 prior arrests, and yet nothing's been done. I think we need to look at this and say, we're not going to do that. We're not going to wait until someone does something so egregious that, it's something awful. We need to look at this and look at it sooner and prosecute.
Will that mean the state might have to look at building more prisons, though, or prison space?
To be determined.
Yeah.
I have not seen, any bills yet.
Right.
I don't know what we're at this point, but we do need to look closely and see what we're doing.
The cancer rate in Iowa has been rising and has been a concern. Governor Reynolds, of course, announcing that $50 million of some recently obtained federal funds will be earmarked to address, or at least try to address the issue of cancer a little bit better. And that's good to see that we've gotten those federal funds and being able to allocate them appropriately to help with the issue of cancer.
Right. And dealing also with the screenings, which is so important. When you catch cancer early, it's curable. But so often, people don't have access or the ability to get the early screenings. And I think that was one of the issues she hit on that is so important.
The condition of the judiciary speech, the biggest things that Judge Christensen, Chief Judge Christensen, talked about was reforming the magistrate judges and maybe reducing the number or saving some money that way. And obviously judge pay as well with district judges. Not many people are applying to be a district judge when those openings come up. And I know Judge Christensen has made this appeal for the second straight year in a condition of the judiciary address. Is this something that hopefully legislators can address again?
Yeah, I do believe it is something we need to address. She's looking at the magistrates and focusing a little bit more as treating them more like our district judges and saying, do we need 206? I will try to talk with the magistrates in our area, discuss this issue with them to see how this works, how this would affect them, and if there would be real cost savings. I think she thought she'd save about $2.5 million.
Yep.
Well, that would go quite a ways for judge pay, which is lower than our surrounding states. And, when it's lower and they can be in private practice, we're not getting the applicants. I think over the last couple of years, she said some of the applicants, we've only had 3 or 4. She used to have 50 or 60. We really need to look and make sure we're getting quality applicants.
Anything else in this legislative session that you see on the radar that will be talked about, if not fully addressed?
Those are kind of the main issues. I think you've touched on all of them. They've been in the press. We've talked about a lot of them. I'm sure there will be some smaller issues that are more individual filings that someone has seen. The budgets, and
Right.
We'll have to work on the budgets, and hopefully we'll get going on those earlier this year and be able to get those set.
Everybody always wants to get out in May instead of in June, right? Or April and May instead of May.
April or May would be nice. June would be okay.
Well, hopefully that happens this year. So
I hope so too.
Representative Bloomingdale, we appreciate you taking some time out to come in here in the KGLO studio and talk about things going on in the legislature. And we'll hopefully talk to you again before the end of the session.
I'd be glad to. And thank you very much for having me on the air.
All right. Jane Bloomingdale here on your hometown news station, AM 1300 KGLO. It's 8:45.